Sugar Ray Leonard won his title last November when the referee stopped the fight with champion Wilfredo Benitez 6 seconds before the end of the 15th round. We witnessed his fearsome power in his last fight against our own Day-Boy Green.
The Americans were told that Green wouldn't be found wanting when it came to a bit of grit, a bit of bulldog spirit, and he certainly got that, but he hasn't got the answer. The left hook, again that punch that Palomino hit him with, a marvellous combination by Sugar Ray Leonard, and he knows it's all over. They're not even counting over him.
And that was Leonard's 27th successive win as a professional. Yes, unbeaten, and 18 of those wins inside the distance. Now the Panamanian Roberto Duran, who took the world lightweight title from Scotland's Ken Buchanan, moved up to welter and got this crack against Leonard as a result of his win over the former world welterweight champion Carlos Palomino.
One of the rare, hungry breed around today, and one of the great fighters. And that left hook of Duran's really getting every cheer.
And that win contributing to an amazing record for Duran, 70 wins in 71 fights, 55 inside the distance. So, last night, Sugar Ray Leonard, the champion, versus Roberto Duran, the challenger, before 46,000 fight fans at the Olympic.
Loyalist, although his father wasn't born in America of Mexican blood. And in front of him there, one of the boxing game's most remarkable characters, 80-year-old Ray Arcel, who's been coaching him. And there's the 48,000-plus crowd in the Montreal Olympic Stadium, a great arena. Roberto Duran, the former lightweight champion, one of the greats of the game now, moving up a division. Already gloved up to save time, and also to keep the boxers warm, not having to do it in the ring. Here comes the welterweight champion of the world, the current American hero, Sugar Ray Leonard. And there he comes then, the unbeaten Sugar Ray Leonard, who has been so calm and collected the whole way through the training that I've seen him here, and the interviews, and the pre-fight stuff. And he's walking over there. He's really got so much charisma, as well as ability. But we're going to find out now whether he really has the ability we think he has. Duran, first challenge for the welterweight. Great lightweight champion. And the last one to win it was right back in the 30s when Barney Ross moved up from the lightweights to the welterweights and took the crown. He's the only one that's done that, I think. This is the man who dethroned Ken Buchanan back in '72 in 13 rounds. And a great dispute at the end of the 13th round with low punches and needle fighting after the bell. And there's the atmosphere in this marvellous stadium in Montreal. And the applause coming from Duran's own cornermen. And if they don't applaud, I think he fires them. Wearing white front with blue stripes. The giant screen at the end of this stadium that the people at the back can also look at the live action and a bit of the screen. And there he is taking the plaudits. Such a popular performer, and now become the highest single earner in the history of boxing. He's got anywhere between $6 and $10 million for this, which is more than Muhammad Ali earned in his last big payday against Ken Norton at Yankee Stadium. Now, I wonder if there's going to be any goings-on here. I don't think Carlos Padilla is going to allow any shenanigans between the fighters here, because this man, Duran, he really does intimidate opposition. But can he do it in the higher division? That's what the fight traders have all been arguing about. It's a bit unnecessary, really, for Carlos Padilla to do this. Padilla was the man who refereed Alan Minter and Antofermo and Jim Watt and Howard Davis. So we're off then, scheduled for 15 rounds, but really, can it last that long? Match of the century, decade, and certainly tonight, I promise you. I've never known so many fight traders who want to see this fight. Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard. And Duran saying he thinks this is Leonard's first professional fight because he's never fought anybody like him before. Leonard, absolute sheer belief in his tremendous boxing ability. Told me, he said, yes, all right, it's going to be the bull and the matador, but often the matador gets gored in this business. Duran's plan must be to try and trap Leonard on the ropes, stop his retreat, stop his movement. Only one loss in 71 fights, Roberto Duran, and that was in a non-title fight. And he twice defeated Esteban de Jesus afterwards in title fights. Well, I think there's a lot of nurtured hate being unloaded in this opening round. And this is clearly the fittest that Duran has looked since he moved from the 9-stone 9 division to the 10-stone 7. And he surprised us by coming in heavier than Leonard, who weighed 10-stone 5 and a bit against 10-stone 4 and a few ounces. Trying to nullify Duran's work inside. That's where he really bulls away there and hurts. And what a fast start this is. There's no sizing up. The referee's got to be diving in there a bit quicker. He tends to part boxers a bit early, but for this contest, he's letting them get on with it for a while. A big smile there on Ray Leonard's face at the end of that round. What a confident kid this is. I say kid, 24 is hardly that. And Duran is 29 this week, and he's been around so long. There he is, the champion, unbeaten in 27 fights.
Has just been achieved in Canada for a boxing evening. 46,317.
Attendance now 46,317, which is a boxing record for Canada. And there's a replay now of those fast punches in the opening round. It gives an idea there how Leonard can get away from trouble quickly. To round two. And Leonard not using the ring as much as I thought he would. He looks as though he's going to say to Duran, okay, if you think you can intimidate me, come at me, because it suits me to counterpunch, as he did against Dave Green. And he really did left hook poor Dave into oblivion. as though Leonard has rehearsed well in training there for a fighter coming at him head first and knowing how to grab when he comes closely there. Probably Angelo, there it is there, you see, probably Angelo Dundee's masterminded the technique a bit here. To have him in the corner is a bit like a classic racehorse having Willie Carson on his back. Having said that, I wonder what the strategy is from those wise old men in Duran's corner. Oh, he's hurt Leonard with that left hook. His feet definitely betrayed him a bit there. He was trying to move away, and as he did, he got caught with a punch, and he couldn't move the feet in time. This is where he's really got to fight to his limit now. If Duran nails him again, talked about Duran being one of the greatest lightweights of all time. This will really be something if he can walk in and take the higher division championship. Leonard trying to take the play away now from this challenger, as though to say, no, I'm not hurt that much. When there's a lot of rough stuff going on there. Duran's round. And in replay now, there it is. Caught him with that left hook, and you watch those feet, they really sprayed apart there. But he was always conscious, knowing that he's got to do something to get out of trouble. And again. The shoulder and the left hook, and you really can see those knees buckle. But as he backs off, Leonard cleverly covers up and grabs. Almost getting a wash and brush up there from Ray Arcel, the challenger now. Must be full of running. Roberto Duran defended his lightweight championship 12 times, and 11 of those challengers went out feet first and gave up the championship with increasing weight. And in round 3 now, and Leonard, yes, he knows that this has got to be the toughest man he's ever fought. Duran said he was going to be, and I think he's proved it so far. Suits Duran to pin Leonard on the ropes like this. Really amazed that Leonard is not trying to get off there. He's doing an alley and it's not coming off for him. Saying Leonard is hoping to allow Duran to punch himself out. That's too dangerous. What a great close quarter fight this is. The referee saying, okay, get on with it. There's a little bit of holding going on, but there's a lot of hitting. Referee pushing those punches grabbing, as you can see quite clearly there, when Leonard holds on with the right hand. Look, there it is. He's locking him. I think this gives an idea why this has drawn the biggest closed-circuit television audience of all time, bringing the largest amount of gate receipts for any fight. Those fight traders who thought that perhaps Duran was not going to be as good as a welterweight must be changing their minds a bit now. Well, these fellas are not going to need a 20-foot ring for this. They could do that in a phone booth. Really terse orders going on there in Duran's corner, with Ray Arcel shaking his fist at Duran. I wonder what's happening in the champion's corner. Is Angelo Dundee there? Probably saying, I don't think you should allow him to pin you on the ropes too much. Get in the center of the ring, at least you can move either side then. Leonard seems to me that not only does he want to prove that he's the better boxer, he's probably trying to take him on at the fight game, and that could be a mistake. Round 4, the welterweight championship of the world, WBC version. That's the 10-stone 7 division. Roberto Duran from Panama, the former lightweight champion, and the unbeaten Sugar Ray Leonard. He got that name, of course, Sugar, from the great Sugar Ray Robinson, who fought Randolph Turpin in Britain for the championship. Amazing character, Duran. He walks in with his windmill-style punching, but doesn't really get hit that much, and I think his face testifies to that. Referee really getting himself tangled up a bit there. He's got to call break a bit more often than physically pull them apart. That's a bit dangerous. A right hand there, but he certainly takes a good shot, Leonard, and he's having to. At least in this contest, the referee doesn't have to worry about scoring. He can really concern himself with controlling the bout, and he's having a hard job, isn't he? We all expected Leonard to do the fancy Dan stuff, but he's cutting out those frills for the thrills. But if these heads keep bumping and boring, there's going to be some cuts coming. Great exchange this is in the corner. Really, the tactics have really surprised me. burst now from Leonard. And yes, he really is trying to out-punch Duran. Oh, what a great round that was. And the right hand there again was a good counter-punch by Duran. Pleased to cover up on the ropes again. So round 5. And these judges from France, Italy and England have a job sorting out these mathematics as this goes along. Leonard hasn't tried so much of the standoff and the showboating stuff that he did with Dave Green and other challengers. He won the championship from Roberto Duran last November in the 9 seconds of the 15th round. There's no question that Duran is really a lot different to any other man that Leonard has ever faced. Benitez was a brilliant boxer. Nobody's even come close to being as tough and as rough as Duran. I can't understand why this referee's not calling break. Every punch that Duran throws, there were 2,000 Panamanians flew into Montreal today, waving their banners. This man really is the national hero. But of course does most of his fighting in America. Those flurries to the body by Leonard are effective, but they're not terribly powerful. Oh, and a good flurry there from the champion. But Duran never been stopped, only taken 2 counts in his career. The sweat and water bouncing off of these fellows as they're just above me, their feet at the commentary position. They're groaning and in there. It really is hard going. Hey, position. Replay there, a better round for Ray Leonard. Well, there's a few characters involved in this fight, I can promise you. American fight game is a Klondike for characters. In round 6, and Leonard still not changing those tactics with any of the shuffles or standing in the ring and jabbing with a fast left hand. He's almost determined. No, he's shaking his head there, Duran, saying, no, that doesn't even bother me. This fellow really enjoys putting some aggro about. He puts more aggro about than JR. Considering it's been so rough, really, there's no noticeable bumps and bruises around their faces. Famous golfers here at ringside, including Jack Nicklaus. I was wondering whether these two fellas here might finish up like a bucket of balls on a practice range, a bit hooked, sliced and shanked. To his advantage there, Leonard, and then grabs the challenger again. And this really is a touch of Ali here. The miniature Ali stuff. Duran really needed the incentive to challenge for a championship again. He's looked so-so in some of those welterweight fights, except the occasion when he defeated Carlos Palomino. He looked pretty good then. But he really does carry that conceit into the ring with him. But there's no question about it. You're watching a couple of the game's all-time great ones. Throwing the punch and then grabbing the rope. Sheer pace of this fight is amazing, really. And don't hit on the break or after the bell. Round 7. The referee now really got to turn it into a three-cornered contest, pulling them apart. He handled Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali in Manila. Well, any doubts about Leonard not being able to take a good shot, I think, have improved so far. Early on in Ali's career, we wondered whether he could absorb a good punch, and he turned out he really could, and I think this fellow looks as though he can do the same. But how does he stop Duran coming at him like that? No way you can keep fainting to a freight train. It looks as though the referee's made up his mind. He's going to let these fellas fight until they drop. Keeps some regard for the rules. It's certainly not been a dirty fight, but it's been a rough one. Yes, the referee could do with making himself heard a bit more there. Really has become a battle of attrition, isn't it? I expected to see style from Leonard and the rough stuff from Duran, but look at this exchange here, it's tremendous. Around this ringside to say say they haven't seen one like this in so many years. It's a bit of a relief for both of them there, that bell. Round 8. And Leonard trying to beat Duran in his own game. And doing now fairly well at it. A bit concerned for him early on. And certainly you've got to have respect for a boy who's such a brilliant boxer, but who's also trying to do a bit of the trading of the macho bit with Duran and doing it well. Saying to me that he feels that the game to him is an art, and he's an artist and not a gladiator. The head shaking inevitable from Duran. He's always done that, showed contempt. Really is a throwback to the old bare knuckle breed, this fellow. Fight anyone at the drop of a hat. The bearded assassin, and didn't ask him to remove that beard for this contest, which some people thought might have been added protection around the chin, when they should only be wearing gum shields as a protection. Cleaner punches coming from the champion now. By the way, that Leonard is standing up right now. He's looking to carry this fight a bit longer range. That'll suit him. Whereas Leonard has turned on a bit of flashy stuff in a lot of his fights, including the one, of course, with Dave Green. He's got down to business in this one, and one has to respect him for that. He knows just when and when not to play around. Right hand of Duran's may have looked a little bit better from the back of this vast arena than it looked to me close up, but it still hurt enough. There it is again. Right on the end of it, Leonard. He's just moving away a bit from it, but still getting caught. Trapped in Leonard's corner. And he has nowhere to walk, and he says, waves to Duran and said, okay, you go walking back, I'll stay here. Round 9. And really, Leonard can't afford to hang his chin out there. And he can't afford to stick his head up like a weather vane too much either. He called Duran Stone's fists. And in the dressing room, I was watching them tape and bandage those hands, rather like a Roman cestus. And I just shook hands with him, and I promise you, he almost knocked me out shaking hands without flipping me with a punch. They really do feel like bolts. A bit rough with the head work there now. The referee's got to watch that. So much experience of championship fighting now, hoping the last part of this championship will be his, trying the wearing down process. It's always been his game. Leonard hasn't been beaten since 1974, amateur and pro. He's had 66 straight wins. As unpaid and paid, is he getting well paid today? I think if Leonard gave Britain the air of that invincibility, by the way he destroyed Dave Green, it shows here that there's always a Billy the Kid around the corner in this fight game, and everybody knew, of course, that this was the man that could do it, Roberto Duran. After all this time, there are still no cuts and blood flying around. Well, what an exchange. And round 10, Sugar Ray Leonard coming out early for work. And I'll say beforehand, I certainly fancied this one to go the full limit. It seemed to me that Leonard's style is the kind of thing that catches the eye of the judges from France, England and Italy. Whereas if they were all American judges, the advance and the sheer aggression of Duran would count so much. Just to recap, the referee does not score in this contest. They changed this rule for this one. They wanted 3 judges and let the referee just cope with handling it. There you see Leonard turning his head away from the punch, and although he catches the right hand, he does cushion it a bit, turning away. A good flurry of punches and solid from Leonard in the centre of the ring. Leonard always prepared to change his tactics. Duran, no. You could read what he's going to do the whole time. Tried to slug it out, they've tried to shove, push, hurt, and now they're trying a little bit to outthink each other, I think. What a great exchange this is now. Leonard really getting into the rhythm. Tremendous tempo. Did a great job on Duran there. Round 11. Leonard having a particularly good round in the 10th. With the kind of boxing that I expected him to start with. saved it for a long way in the contest. Whether Leonard likes it or not, it really is a gladiatorial battle for him. Oh, what a great exchange. It's unbelievable the way they just let this flow of punches go in the 10th round, in the 11th round. You get the impression that really they both think the referee has a kind of inhibiting presence in there. They'd rather be left to fight it out and the winner gets the verdict with the final, the man standing gets it. Traders have been saying this has got to be a dream fight, and it looks as though the dreams come true. And Leonard brilliantly turning Duran, and then Duran doing likewise. All the tricks of the trade coming out. Never lost a 15-rounder. It's such confidence for the champion. Doesn't mind being pegged in the corner like that. And he can still put those clusters of punches together. But nonetheless, Duran staying in there the whole time. There it is, look, the flashy stuff again for the champion, but back comes the challenger. So round 12. Duran looking really good in these last few rounds. But nonetheless, Duran always coming back at it, just as everybody thought he would. And indeed, as Leonard thought he would. Remarkable ability, Sugar Ray Leonard, with only 27 contests, all unbeaten. A little bit of lace, no, it's actually a bit of cotton bandage being pulled off there. They say take the time off for that, so the round could run over the 3 minutes, but only a matter of seconds. Great condition, both fighters. These fellas must have really trained so hard. And at this stage of the game, the fitness really does count. When the ability and the wills are fairly equal, that's the time then that they've really got to dig down into those boots and pull up that courage and rely on their fitness to keep them going. Remember that In Europe now, the European Championship has been reduced to 12 rounds because they thought 15 was a bit too severe a test. And really no noticeable sign of the challenger slowing, continuing this saturation stuff that he's done all his career, fighting professional since he was 16. Won the lightweight championship when he was just 21, Roberto Duran. Round 13, absolute tremendous contest for the welterweight championship of the world. Lived up to all its expectations. Some people thought it could end early. That certainly wasn't my impression. Because these fellas are too good and too game and know too much about their business to be tagged so quickly like that. A great punch by Duran. The Panamanians really doing some war hoops with that one. Tough job for a fighter to go up in the division at these weights to try and win. Barney Ross, the left hook there, but came straight back with it, Leonard. Just when Leonard looked as though he might buckle from the punch, almost instinctively through the counter. His exchange of punches to the body, the weakening process, and you suddenly get the impression that Leonard is hurt and may go down, and then within a split second he's back again. Really sign of greatness. Just look at this exchange again here. It does not stop. Leonard turning the fight with his mouth open a little bit. I'm wondering whether he is tiring just that much, but he certainly don't get the impression. I mean, they must be tiring, it's obvious. Sheer tenacity of this. Unbelievable round in round 13. 46,000 people on their feet at the end of that round. And Ray Leonard there and Duran beckoning him in on at the start of the 14th. And I'm really delighted that it hasn't been spoiled by cuts to either man. That it can be won on sheer merit. This marvellous show of the champion matching the Iron Man strength for strength. many fighters in history who have had a better temperament than these two. They're really both fitted and suited to their trade, although, strangely enough, Leonard didn't really want to turn professional when he won the gold medal, but his parents were both taken ill, and he had to provide for them. And now, of course, he could afford to keep them in luxury. He found that this was a good way of coming from poverty to plenty. It's amazing how they're both still trying to find that payoff punch. They won't acknowledge that the other one won't go down. This really reminds me of covering the Sugar Ray Robinson and Carmen Basilio fights. It bears very close comparison indeed. Can't get over the fact that Leonard gives the impression that he's about to drop any minute and then throws a flurry of punches. And it's Duran who's in trouble then, although they were booing or pushing the head down. Well, there's the first bit of flashiness we've seen from Leonard, showing that uppercut or bolo punch as it was named. Leonard sensing that the fight is his and going to give the crowd a bit of a treat as well as a great fight. As though to say, come on, this is the 15th round, I've won this fight. And just that pleasant touch of gloves being insisted on in the last round, rather like the pleasantries that the dentist does before the extraction. It's really had everything that you can expect in a great championship fight except knockdowns, and really we haven't needed them because it's been such a touch-and-go fight. And then Leonard, having absorbed Duran's best punches, brilliantly trying to out-punch his man as well as out-box him.
Yeah, I got it.
This ring's going to be like a carnival at the end of this contest as they wait for those judges' papers, although there's a great deal of security here. Duran, look, they're trying not to be denied, banging away at the ribs as Leonard held on with his own right hand. Me how these fellas have kept this pace up for 15 rounds. It must have been like 50 for them. Yes, they earn a lot of money, but they deserve it. And they've worked for weeks and maybe months for this one. And Duran still showing that contempt in the dying minutes. The countdown then to the end of this welterweight championship of the world. And just look at this, what a payoff this is going to be. Too late for a knockout now. The bell would go, of course, if there was a man down. What a flashy finish. is, it's all over. As we wait for the verdict. And both men jumping around saying, I've won this fight, I've won this fight.
Mesdames et messieurs,
And here it
la
is.
décision officielle des juges. Here is the official decision. Le juge Badirou,
French judge.
Duran, 146, 146.
146.
Leonard, 144, 144.
So Duran gets one vote there from the Frenchman.
Botelli,
Italian.
Duran, 147, 147.
147. It looks like he's won it.
147, 147.
That's level. Now this is the one. Harry Gibbs from England.
Leonard, 144. Duran, 145. Le nouveau champion du monde, Roberto Duran.
And Roberto Duran's won it.
Duran, campione.
And the sheer tenacity then of Duran's punches has beaten Leonard. Nobody looks more surprised than he is. It was a close one. It had to be a close one. And it was exactly how each person viewed that fight and how they judged it. And unquestionably a great performance by such a determined fighter as Roberto Duran. And swayed by the points of England's Harry Gibbs.
We got to do me a favor, fellas. Please.